Three, two, one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Mindful Leadership podcast with my co host, the amazing Natasha Rocha. Hello, Natasha.
Hello, everybody.
And also a big welcome to our special guest today, Angie Garton. Hello,
Hi.
Angie. Welcome to our podcast.
I think John's a little bit
Oh,
stuck
you've
there.
frozen,
Yeah,
John.
it's okay. I will keep introducing you.
Go for it.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to have you here. I'm going to give a quick bio of who you are, and then I was wondering if it's okay if you could fill us in and tell us more about your journey. So, welcome, Angie. Angie is a woman's health coach specializing in menopause, and she's also a sound bath practitioner, which is absolutely amazing. So we want to hear more about that. So she's done a lot. So from starting her working life in wildlife science, 10 years in the army, personal training, nutrition coaching, counseling skills. She continues to add her certificates and skill sets to continuing to help women at the depth and level that they need most. And Angie's focus is on helping women to feel more reassured about menopause, confident about their health and wellness at midlife, and feeling content in who they are becoming. So, using the whole woman wellness method for peri and postmenopausal women, Angie will empower you with the choice and inspiration to help you find your own path forward through midlife, whilst giving you the physical and mental tools to ease your way through the significant life transition. Angie works with individuals and small groups online and in person, privately, and with corporate organizations as well. And we're going to start the conversation with one finding out about more about this incredible journey and all the twists and turns that it's taken. It's beautiful how it all falls into place to what you're doing now. And we're also going to look at the modern approach to menopause and midlife health. And I feel so spoiled because I'm there, so I get to pick your brain, which is amazing. So yes, tell us about your journey.
Yeah, it's been a ride. You don't sort of leave school and say, "Yeah, I'm going to be a menopause coach." So, it's not something that you start out doing. I think most coaches in the health and wellness space sort of journey towards it in a winding road kind of way, and I'm no different in that respect. I'm probably different to most menopause coaches in that my reasons behind doing what I do on the menopause side of things is not because of my own personal journey with it. When I started out as a menopause coach, it wasn't that I wanted to share what I was going through. I wasn't going through the menopause at that time. I'm in perimenopause now. I'm 45, so I'm kind of at the beginning of all of that. But yeah, I've been doing this for quite some time, and it was really because of the clients I had at that time, 8, 9, 10 years ago. It was the things I was helping them with that made me realize I need to know a little bit more about what's going on here. I need to learn more and adapt and upgrade my own training and skill set to really match what they needed. So back at that time, I was a full time personal trainer, and I was starting to navigate into transition into doing online nutrition coaching and helping people with behavior change and like proper coaching, not instructional, do this, do that kind of thing, but really a conversational style of what do you want? How are we going to get there? Like a partnership kind of coaching. So we were having deeper conversations because of that, because it wasn't just me telling them what to do. I was getting to know them a lot more, which is great. That's always been my thing with being a coach. I'm not surface level kind of person in any respect. So it was always going to start to gravitate towards my work, the same kind of thing. I go in deep, not straight away. We work and take a time over it. So the menopause stuff came because of that. I was trying to help my clients more I realized that, just helping them just with exercise or just with what they're eating is not going to be enough. I needed to understand more. So I actively sought out courses and reading as much as I could. Back then, I mean, we're talking 10 years ago, 2014 was when I really started to take an interest. 2015 was when I was studying more. 2016 was when I really became a coach with some level of knowledge that I could really help people in their 40s and 50s going through this. So there wasn't that much information around it back then. So it was like trying to hunt for the proverbial, rocking horse shit. Where is it? Where do I find this information? How do I know? It was madness. How do I find out what's going on potentially with my own body, not just my clients? And that was the thing that made it very personal. That, yeah, my clients meant a lot to me. They still do. And the more I was learning about perimenopause and like this distinction between these phases of menopause, up until then I didn't really understand what that was. The more I learned about that and learned about how our body changes and all of that, the more I realized I'm really at the edge of this as well. In my mid-30s, I need to know this for myself, and that was quite a shock, really. I wasn't in menopause, but I learned that in our mid-30s, that's when our body starts to change and adapt towards becoming a midlife woman. And if I didn't understand all about that for myself, let alone my clients, then I was doing myself a disservice, not just them. So it became quite a personal journey from that point onwards, and I was personally invested as well as wanting to do my best for them, because it would have been quite easy. There were times working with clients when I felt a little bit of a fraud, a little bit of that imposter syndrome. Here I am telling all these people that I'm a PT. I've been doing this for a few years. I know what I'm doing. I know all about the body and health and all that kind of stuff. And then when you hit your 40s, the rules change. And I don't understand what's going on. So I was compelled to do my best, because it just made no sense that we just keep doing the same things in the same way. I could see that wasn't making a difference. I could see it was frustrating for other people as well as myself. So yeah, that's the story around it.
Well, apologies for my internet. It's on and off a bit for some reason. Usually entirely stable.
Sorry, I
and
take full responsibility. Must be my vibrational activity.
and you're already answering some of my questions, but I wanted to just drill into the awareness part. So because I do feel that our trend of our culture, our Western culture, is driving our relationships with women and their bodies to having, more pressure on having babies later in life, if that's what they choose. And then there's like a compression on perimenopause, and as you say, like even precursors to that. And I was really interested in what your how you feel the awareness is right now and what you've observed in terms of the changes. Is it a shock to people when you say, have you considered you might be going through this, or do you know what it is?
Yeah, there's a lot I could say on this. Yes. So how I observe it, I see, having been in this game for a while now, I can see 9 years of how trends have changed over the years. 2016, 2017, it was still a little bit very much a taboo subject to talk about. So if I approached if I went into a room of people and as I often did, like networking and things, and you stand up, you get your 5 minutes of fame and explain who you are and what you do. As soon as I mentioned menopause, the room would divide and people were sort of hush, oh, what's going on? Oh, menopause. And it would divide as in the people who would say, I'm past all that time. That's not relevant for me. And then the other half of the room would say, that's way in. I'm not there yet. That's way in the future for me. And I'm in the middle, saying, hang on, it's relevant for both of you lot. And so I had to really work on my messaging and kind of wait for some of that. The culture and the trends and the conversation around it for everyone else to catch up, because I was really keen to talk about it, but for a long time it's been considered a bit of a it's not polite in our society to announce that you're going through perimenopause and talk about things like that and then suggest that other people might be similar. People take a bit of offence at that, and it's a personal health issue. So of course we're all entitled to keep things to ourselves and talk about as much as we want to, and not feel compelled to tell everyone everything. So I can understand on that, but there are some things that I've noticed over the years in that way that some people just don't want to even think about themselves being at that stage of life, because we've had such a long history in our Western society of associating getting older with loss, with decline, with lessening of our status in society. Like, we're less valuable in so many different ways. We're not, but just reiterating that kind of message that we have been given for centuries now, that as soon as we are past it and over the hill, then we have to go and sit in the corner and wait for the younger folk, the younger ladies to take center stage. So that's still in the back of everyone's consciousness, in our mind, as a narrative. That it's very archaic, but it's still there. So that is like a shadow that's sort of still having an effect on how we view ourselves. So that's part of the answer to your question. Does that help? Does that answer it a little bit, or were you going in a different direction?
No, that's great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly feel that there's a resistance to it and a lack of knowledge. I think that's a lack of understanding of, what is going, like, what is happening to our body, what does it look like, and what does it mean? So my question to you is, I've always had this belief is like, whatever we resist will persist, and that really closing our eyes and blocking our ears towards it. It's not something that if we ignore for long enough, it's going to go away. So how do we mindfully lead our way through it? Is in kind of like choose it. It's like embracing this time of our life, this like, yes, I'm stepping into this kind of like era where it's kind of like I have experience, knowledge, and wisdom, but how do I look at it from a physical, mental, and emotional perspective? How do I lead? Like, where do I begin? How does anybody do that?
Yeah. This is the meaty part of it, really, and it ties in with John's question as well. On the other side of that, so there's this rise now, this next few generations coming along that I'm noticing, which is fantastic. We are talking about it more. We are having more discussions. There isn't yet, I agree, there is not enough awareness and not enough real skills on knowing what's going on in our body, because we've been sort of pushed aside as this, we're past it. So we don't get the research, we don't get the same level of funding we're complicated beings, so nobody wants to research us and put money into that. So there's a lot of ambiguity around what will help, what's relevant. There's so many question marks over all of the what can we do? Where do we start? I've created a method around it that helps anyone at any stage, whether you're on medication or not. And just tying into John's question as well earlier, you're overlapping with this, because with this wave of new awareness and understanding, and like I call it like the rise of the goddess woman, like we are wanting more, we are demanding more from our lives. We are, as a trend, having children later in life, all these, and still wanting a career as well, and wanting more for ourselves, which is fantastic. That is great. But there's still this sort of pressure on us that we do all of that to the best of our ability, and keep the house running, and look after the family, and do all of these things, juggle all of these plates all at the same time. And then we're going through perimenopause as well. And if it's surgical or medically induced, then we miss out perimenopause and go straight to menopause. And that can be pretty overnight, and a lot of stresses and strains coming with that. So there's a lot that comes with this. This rise of us, I do see it as a rise in awareness of wanting more for ourselves, of asking more from society. Like, I don't want to just stay at home and look after the kids. Some people do. That's great. Some people will want that. Fantastic. Not everybody will. Some people want their own career. Some people don't want children and just want to focus on their own lives and do whatever they feel is right for them. We've all got different choices, and that's the thing. We've got so many more choices now that sometimes that can bring in a little bit more overwhelm and stress. So yeah, with increasing awareness, it doesn't always equate to answers for us. Like you said, Natasha, like, where do we start with this? And I always start with the woman. I don't start with the diagnosis. I don't start with listing symptoms. I ask the person how they're feeling, and we have a conversation. What's going on for you? Before I can say, yes, this would be helpful. Why have you thought of this? Why don't you do this? And this might be a good thing for you to do right now. I don't know any of those answers until we've started to have that conversation, because we're all so different. We're all at different stages when we start to go through this whole menopause journey. So there's my framework, my method isn't like a blueprint, like we're all going to do the same thing, because that just doesn't work. There is no one thing when it comes to menopause, whether it's peri or post. There's no one thing that's going to help us all.
That's beautiful. And it's and tying back to John's question as well. So thank you for answering that. With women having children a little bit later, I've also started finding now navigating not only my own journey, but I have 2 teenage daughters. So they're going through their own hormonal journey as well. So it's kind of like correlates at the same time. So it's quite a fiery household sometimes, or quite an energetic household at times. How do you suggest we start to navigate? Because there's definitely a correlation, between all of us, especially since we all sync into cycles and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah. This is so so common that we can, because our hormones start to gear up for midlife and menopause in our mid-30s. By the time we hit our 40s, things are changing. We might not notice it at that stage, but like internally things are shifting. By the time you my age, 45, I'm noticing a few things that can be exacerbated by stress. And I say can be, but they are exacerbated by stress. And sometimes it can be tricky to know, like, chicken or egg, which one came first? Was it this symptom or was it that stress? Which one came first? Because they both sort of run in a loop with each other. And we don't always need to know which one came first to help the situation. But when we add in teenagers to the mix, I laugh because I don't have children, but I remember my teenage self very well, and she was not a particularly nice person to the people around her or to herself.
Yeah.
It was a tricky time for me. I did not particularly enjoy that time of my life. I found it a real struggle. So it was hormonally, it was a shift, and for my parents also going through their own life journey, and my mum at that stage, I had two older sisters. It's really, really common that we find this in a household. And bless my dad, the only man in the house, and three women, sometimes four women around him. So it was, yeah, must have been stressful. The biggest thing that we can do for ourselves, no matter who we are, if we're in that house and in some way, is to have a bit of compassion for ourselves before we try and feel any compassion for other people. Just, tend to yourself first. Listen to what's going on. You're probably going to be experiencing at some stage a bit of, irritation, maybe a few bits of like suppressed anger, and just little things starting to niggle at you. And don't push those down. Don't keep pushing those things down. Noticing when they're coming up and tying it in with, okay, is that because of this happened at work and this happened at home and this didn't happen, as well as the hormonal stuff. So don't just blame it all on the hormones. That's what I'm getting at, really. Whether we're a teenager or whether we're 47 or 49, don't put it all down to hormones. Some of it is for sure, but they all tie in with each other. So the external stuff plays a part on what's happening on the inside, and what's happening inside affects how we deal with the external stuff. So try not to separate things too much. And being able to like take a step back sometimes can be tricky, but having a bit of compassion, like noticing, okay, I feel a bit stressed this week. I feel a bit stressed, and don't follow that up with, I've got no reason to feel stressed. I'm fine. I've got food in the fridge. I've got a roof over my head. There's money in the bank. Family's okay. Health is all right. Don't start putting those things in, like saying basically to yourself, dismissing all of your own issues and concerns. Just listen to what's going on. Give yourself 5 minutes. Lock the door in the bathroom, and sometimes that's a real challenge for people, just to give themselves a bit of space and listen what's going on here without having to do anything. You're not saying, right, I need to change this, I need to do that. Just first of all, hear what is really on the inside, because we can't do anything until we've got that connection.
Beautiful.
Wow, and thank you again for for being patient with my internet. It's fixed now. And Angie, you had answered my next question, and I guess I get uh, to pass some comment as well. But I do feel that that's a huge thing for all of us, is to have a more regular conversation, daily conversation with our bodies. Hey, body, how are you feeling today? And I spent decades ignoring that. Especially in my corporate jobs, I would just go in, I would like, hey, a body, I've got a body just like everyone else. It's like, it has arms and legs, and it gets me to work, it gets me to my desk to start typing for the day. And then I would be annoyed at myself when it was, complaining, tired. You can have, a longer sleep tonight, or you can have more coffee, like just put up and get on with it.
Yeah.
And I do really resonate with this really strange phenomena where we have culture at the moment, because I was there just a couple of years ago. I was a completely ignorant male, and probably are still on the more towards the ignorance scale of perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. But one thing that's really helped me gain my understanding a bit more is largely my clients. So my clients, many of the online work, for example, is people are in their 60s to 90s, and and it and I always find, I always make sure I'm not just jumping to, well, I can guess, I'm an expert in knowing whether what stage you're in or not. That seems like a really bad idea. I think it's really important to just at any age to understand a bit more about the cycles that someone's going through in their lives.
Yeah.
And these things, it does feel like as our lifespans get longer, there's even more importance for this. You didn't use the word shame, but that's the way I perceive it, is that we seem to treat it, especially men, we're treating it like some sort of shameful thing that women go through. But I'd argue it's much more of a graduation. It's a rebirthing. And it's an honor, because us men don't do it, right? We're just like, oh, we can just still do the baby thing forever because that's all we're good for. And then for the woman, it's like, no, good news. You don't have to just do that. You have a big, lovely span of your life where you can, if you choose. And then you can focus more on helping the rest of the species. And we need the help. We all need the help. And I really resonate with this. You mentioned like I can't remember, you used the word goddess, but there's this rebirthing aspect, this rising aspect of women. And I really want to celebrate a lot of the work you're doing, and also so many questions you're answering. So I will get to my question, which is, what can we as men do? And you were just starting to answer some of that. I have a 19-year-old daughter, and my wife's similar age as me. I'm 48, and I'm trying to increase my awareness, but I also observe there's ups and downs, through any household and through every individual body, because we're all unique. What recommendations would you have for me and other men?
Yeah. I can't wait to answer this. It gets asked a lot when I go round to groups and do workshops and little corporate things as well. And there's often a little chatter, a few group of people, and could you do this for men? Could you bring a group of men together? Because quite often, it's the first time a group of women have spoken and had space to talk about it, and the men are sitting at the back thinking, well, what do I do? Where do I go? I don't want to be, like you say, the men don't want to be shamed for getting it wrong. And as women, we don't want to be shamed for something that is normal and natural for us to go through. So in that awkwardness, we can end up not talking about it at all between us all. So there does need to be some kind of togetherness somehow. The way I see it, I've done little interviews with some guys as well. And a friend of mine I had on my YouTube some time ago, probably a year ago now, and he spoke about his experiences with his female partner going through menopause. And I've spoken to my male friends as well, and clients as well. So I see it as what you are talking about, Jon, is really important. The first thing is to recognize that we are different. We are different. It's not that one is more superior than the other. It's not like, oh, stronger and weaker, and it's not that. But there is a difference. Difference does not have to equal better and lesser. We're not looking for that kind of difference. We're just saying apples and oranges, how do you choose? You don't. You just say that they're different. So recognizing that. And the second thing is to recognize the seasonality of life, which you've already pointed out fantastically. We all go through seasons, even men, but as our innate, as women, we're going through this monthly cycle. And there's some beautiful graphs. I know that's a weird thing to say, but scientist at heart, there's some beautiful graphs on the internet to show the cycle of our life cycle as women, from our hormonal production point of view, from our sex steroid hormones, so estrogen and progesterone, the cycle of that going from a teenager and then a nice curve, and then coming into our older years and our elder years. And there's a definite curve to that. So that's across our entire life. And we could split each section of that up and call that a different chapter of life or cycle or whatever you want to call it. But there's seasons to it. And then for each person, we all go through seasons as well, whether we're male, female, or any other gender. We're going to all go through seasons of life. I'm currently perimenopausal. I'm also going through a stage in my life that I'm calling my slow season. I'm grieving my dad who died last year. I'm just not having the energy mentally or physically to push everything really, really hard like I used to. And I'm just going at my pace. That's my slow season. I don't know how long it is for, but I know it's not forever. But I'm not putting a time limit on that. And that's really personal to me. So we're all going to have that. You might not call it a slow season, it might be something completely different, but it's all affected by what's going on in our own lives, our priorities for like the next 6 months or 6 years, and just recognizing that there's an interplay with internal and external. So men need to understand this, that we're not all the same. We can't have 100% output every single day in, typical corporate land, expecting us to do the same thing in the same way, like we're flipping machines. We're not. And that's the same for us all, but particularly women, because we work usually on a round about 28-day cycle for our hormones, which impact so much of our lives. Whereas for men, you don't get that. You get a 24-hour cycle. So that sort of 7-day, 5-day working week, Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday off, that's brilliant. That works really well for men. Not so well for us. Our bodies don't do that 24-hour reset. We don't do that. So it's not really, our bodies are like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. We can do it, but then if we don't kind of get that 100% output every day, it makes us look like we're not trying hard enough, or there's something failing, or maybe you need this medication because you're not quite there where you need to be, or we're looking for things that are wrong. So if we all could understand that we're all a bit different, and just because we might be tired on one day or in one particular week of a month doesn't mean something's wrong. Maybe our body is just doing what it knows what to do. So let alone men understanding this, women could do with understanding this as well, because we've learned a lot of this culture from men, and it's become the norm to live up to. They've set the standards, so we're trying to reach something that's for some of us unattainable, not because we're inferior, but because our bodies are just different.
I really love how you're describing the working week, because I was working with a client just last week, and we were working together on her weekly cycles and trying to come up with a pattern that would allow her to maximize time for work and play and joy, and then the giving and receiving. I think that was the first kind of the kind of very male pushing, like just do stuff, John. And then there was the receiving, which is still quite new to me, in my calendar, just having that part of it. And and we spoke a bit about her cycle. We're talking about, okay, how does that fit in with the week and the month with the 28 days? And it's never going to fall exactly on the same pattern, because the computer scientist in me wants, simple rules for a simple mind. But the reality is that there's, and as I understand a woman's cycle, nothing, none of it's bad, right? I wouldn't be here if it didn't exist.
Exactly.
And then also there's different stages to it that can teach us a lot. Teach me a lot, I know for sure. And it's definitely beyond just the doing, and receiving is a huge thing. So I remember that was totally lacking in my corporate job, was the magic of receiving is an incredible gift that this whole world needs, which is if you just had a few hours each week or each month to start to receive new ideas, new ways of working, receiving your own health and well-being, that's just kind of two sides. But I feel in the cycle and monthly cycles and then into the menopause that there's also greater things to celebrate about it, to learn from these natural cycles. It's not a question necessarily because I don't know if you have all the answers to that. But it definitely resonates with the journey I'm going on, and I feel there's a lot in it for men to learn about, the advantage that women have through their own cycles, instead of us just saying, oh, you're going to need 2 days off for that each month. That sounds shocking.
Yeah, like we're ill or something. For some people, it can be quite debilitating. Of course, we can have severe issues with cycles and periods, and hormones can disrupt things, and it can make life hard. But if we can have a bit more ease around this whole thing of you've got to work in this way and it's got to fit these structures, then that can take some of that pressure off anyway. And there's lots so many rabbit holes you could go down with that conversation as a starting point around talking about women's level of pain and being recognized for the pain that we're in sometimes, because it's just hormones, it's just your monthly stuff, just get on with it. And there's a lot that could be said. I'm not going to go down that particular rabbit hole today. We might not get
another
out.
Episode on
that. There's a lot there.
I absolutely love that you say to look at it from a very much an individual perspective, right? And that is so important. And I think that's important in not only navigating your home life, but your work life as well. Like Jon was saying, it's trying to find in those cycles, but it's also, I think the understanding has to come from both sides, which is why we're having this beautiful conversation. And I think in the future, even within kind of like our lifestyles, I think we're going to start becoming more individualized in asking for what we want and what we desire, rather than this is what the norm is. But it absolutely starts with ourselves. I absolutely, and giving us almost like a permission to look at it and go, hey, you are like, just have a look at what's going on inside, instead of like, okay, so this is what you're going through. Okay, like you say, we're so designed to push through, okay, however this is going along, it will be over soon. I'll just ignore it. I'll just push through it. My question for you is, what is the mindset, even if you were to like an affirmation or whatever it is, what is the mindset that we need to shift, that we need to adopt, that we need to embody in ourselves, to almost kind of like going, okay, I am starting to recognize these signs. How do I, instead of going, oh, I'm embarrassed, or instead of going, what do I do? Or, looking and reading everything that's out there and not knowing, like, what is the mindset that we need to adopt, both, for ourselves and for the people around us?
I have unusually for me, I have a quick answer for this that could be expanded upon a lot. But my answer comes from my own method. I don't have all of the answers, I'm going to say that. But my method, I've tried to take and pick and collate the best bits of all that I know. So the mindset that we need is befriend, don't battle. Befriend, don't battle. Coming from a military person, I was in the military for 10 years. Battling was kind of the name of the game. So we were taught to kind of cut yourself off from here and think and act, and in a certain order. So it was mission first. Look after the mission. The mission has to go ahead no matter what. And then comes your mates, so the people around you, because they have to facilitate the mission. And then comes you. So you're third on the list. So that's a military mindset. So for me, with the whole woman wellness method, the mindset shift around it brings it all back on its head. We're not military. We're not trying to, even if you work in corporate, we're trying to shift away from that for our own personal lives. So we're not thinking 100% output every day, all day. Befriend yourself, don't battle yourself. If you're thinking, I'm not sure if I'm in perimenopause, that would apply, because befriending yourself is about having some curiosity. Could I be? What would I need to do to find out? Who do I need to speak to? What do I need to read? Where do I need to go? What could I be curious about within my own senses, instead of cutting off from here and just simply asking the question, what do I need to feel into? What do I need to notice and be aware of, internally and externally? If you're at some stage of menopause and you know that you're there, you know things are shifting, and whether you've had medical support or not, that befriending yourself, not battling yourself, could look like, okay, I'm there, I'm in this, now what do I need to support myself? The things that I've been doing in terms of what I eat and my perhaps my exercise regime, or how I go about my day from getting up and going to sleep in the evening, how I speak to myself. Things need to just take a little review around that, so we would know if we're battling ourselves, because it would sound like, why can't I just do this like I always used to? Why can't I just? Why is this? Why is my body failing me? That's battling. Curiosity and befriending yourself at the stage you're at now, whatever that is, even if you don't have a label for it, is about, okay, something's shifting, something's changing. What do I need to think about differently? How do I need to think about myself now? What's going to help me at this stage? And if you're right at the other end at postmenopause, and perhaps hormones have settled and perhaps they haven't, perhaps there's still a few shifts going on, because postmenopause, end of periods, doesn't always mean end of problems. So there can be a few little bumps in the road whilst your body resettles and finds that new pattern, because we've gone through those monthly cycles and then we come out the other end. And it's not a flat line. I've spoken to many women at postmenopause who still notice some kind of cycle within their energy. So yeah, we're creatures. We are creatures of cycles. So at that stage, we would say, are you really befriending yourself, or are you trying to live like you were in your 20s? What could we adjust for you to help you live the life that you really want to have and feel good about yourself, in your body as it is now, in your mind, and in your space that you're occupying? Take up space, and don't be afraid to do so. And are you shrinking? Are you going to that other side where, the hearing that narrative that's been passed on generation to generation, don't talk about this, and hush hush, and everything's embarrassing, and yeah, I'm going to question that a bit, because that might be battling things.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I was going to ask about this concept, just to give a little background. In my last job, I sat next to someone, and they were an Olympic athlete before they joined a corporate work. And they spoke about a lot of what their coaches did with them, their fitness team, was they had this concept of incremental gains.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's this? And so we spoke a lot, because he was always fascinated about, oh, so you're doing mindfulness. Like, how does that affect? Do you notice any difference with your running? And it was so funny, because there was this very explorative aspect to it, which was, if it's legal and it's ethical and it's likely good for the person, then the team would explore it for that person. They would try and constantly optimize And okay, they had an objective, right? It was still a mission. It was still, you need to get that time down from this to this if you want to win that medal, or help your team win. But what I did love is that there was such an obsession about the individual, total acknowledgement. Everyone's totally different, and that everyone needs something different, and that they'll respond to different treatments in different ways. And I was interested in you touching a little bit on your sound bath work and anything else. Have you found any surprises when you've worked with clients that you've experienced benefits to them, and it's been a surprise to either of you? Like, oh, I've never thought that would help them with this aspect of their transition.
Yeah, absolutely. The first person that comes to mind is someone I spoke to last week, who I used to have coaching sessions with, and she didn't need me, so we kind of stopped doing that over the years. And then she came back to me last week, wanted a little top up on a few things, and just had a really good chat, really see where she was at and what needed to tweak, so we avoided battling, and befriended her body where she is now and helped her move along again. But as you were speaking, I was thinking of the conversation I had with her, could have been 2018, 2019 perhaps. And I can remember at that stage, I wasn't into my sound bathing, and I'd been to one, but I hadn't done any of it. I hadn't got any of the instruments. I play the piano. That was about the limit to that kind of thing, which has always given me a lot of peace for myself, a lot of just taking time. It's kind of meditation for me. Sometimes just play with my eyes closed and I don't really look at what I'm doing. So I was aware of this kind of mind-body connection, and aware of the importance of having some time for ourselves, just to be, and not put any pressure on who we're being or what we're doing. So in my session years and years ago with my client, I won't go into the details, but she ended up doing a little 10-minute meditation. And she told me last week that changed everything. 10 minutes, it was 10 minutes. But the decisions, it was basically the clarity that she got just from 10 minutes for herself in a busy life with people and demands and expectations and responsibilities. And she gave herself 10 minutes, and that gave her enough clarity to be able to hear what she wanted and needed, and then be able to notice opportunities to actually set the ball rolling to make that happen. And it changed the course of, I'm not going to say her life, but it was a dramatic shift in the way she was doing things, the way she was living. So it was very, very simple, and it was just all about coming back to self. And it could have been, back then it could have been a sound bath. It wasn't. It was a little 10-minute breathwork meditation, but that sound bathing works on the same theme around coming back to you, around coming back to what's going on in here. No expectation, no pressure. Let's just put you in a little bubble for yourself. You're the only person right now for 10 minutes. And yeah, sound bathing takes a bit longer than 10 minutes, but yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me over the years, as I've increased my own knowledge and my own skill set, really, and my own understanding of how the body works. I think the biggest shift has been stop cutting this off. We can't take a head off and put it on a shelf overnight and like give it a clean and give it a rinse out and stuff. It'd be great if we could, but it's always with us, so we've got to find ways to keep some kind of clarity there. Because it's connected. Everything that we think is going to manifest something. And whether we're aware of it or not makes no difference. So if we can have some consciousness around what's going on up there, however we do that, whether that's, something you do on your own or with other people, loads of choices around that.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
No pressure on my meditation. Thanks,
Yeah.
Angie.
I literally didn't twig.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. No, I'm joking. Once I'm in.
Guaranteed, or your money back. You'll feel better post meditation.
Expecting mind bending things now.
Speaking of that, before we do go into meditation, it's just so wonderful to have you, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us as well. And I'm sure we could definitely dive deeper into all of this too. Can you tell us, how do people get a hold of you? How can you support people so that they can come and find you?
They can find me in multiple ways. I know you have listeners all over the place. So I have a website, so angiegarton.com. So it's just my name.com. And that's a bit of a warehouse for all of my wares and my goods and services. So it could be one-to-one, do one-to-one calls on Zoom, a bit like this. And then have a membership group as well. That's on Facebook, which is Finding Yourself in Menopause.
Nice.
I work with corporate as well. So if you're an organization or a business or a community group as well, and you'd like me to facilitate something or just come in and break open some of the barriers around these topics we've been talking about, then I'm always open to that conversation. Sound bathing, which we've only touched on a little bit, but if you're curious about that, I've got my Eventbrite page for that one, so you can find me on there. So look for Angie Garton on Eventbrite. There's also on my website, there is a sound bath page, which will link you straight to that one. So they're in Edinburgh, East Lothian and the Borders, and a few in England as well. I do travel a bit with those.
Beautiful. Thank you. I am going to look out for them. I definitely want to be part of those. I love sound baths. It's the healing frequencies are just absolutely incredible as they move through your body. So yeah, it's beautiful. Definitely look that up for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you there. Yeah, any
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shall we meditate? Let's befriend our bodies.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to get you to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. As you exhale, release any tension, stress, anything that no longer serves. Release, let go, surrender with your breath. Bring your awareness as your breath flows into your body. Is it moving down into your chest? Are you able to bring it a little bit further into your belly? Allow the oxygen, allow this breath of life to move through your entire being. Know it to be nothing to do but here and now. Allow your body to be a body. Feel it resting on your chair. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Allow your body to just be a body. I'm going to invite you to start to infuse the emotion of compassion. And as we start to feel compassion, we want to start directing this compassion to our body, this beautiful vehicle, this beautiful method of experiencing life on this planet. And we're going to drop into our heart and we're going to ask the body and the heart, how are you feeling? Listen. If your body were to speak, what would it say? Listen to your body. Ask your body, where is it battling? How can you be a better friend to your body? Knowing that it will be with you and has been with you throughout this journey. What are the physical, mental, emotional adaptations that it needs to help us throughout this season? What season are you in? How can you honor the season? Let's have gratitude for our bodies. I'm grateful for the experiences, grateful for allowing us to navigate this world. And let's ask the body, what is one thing that we can do today that would help to support it, that would help to nourish it, that would help it to take the space in this world that it deserves. I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to the soles of your feet. Open up the energy centers on the soles of your feet and connect into the diamond white crystalline energy of Mother Earth. And bring this energy up into your body, knowing that it connects to every living thing on this planet. And as it starts to move up into our bodies, not only grounding us, but reminding us that we are an extension of nature. Allow this diamond white energy to feed, to nourish, to replenish, to replace, to energize in this beautiful form that we call our body. And as this energy starts to flow through us, we remember that we belong. And we are nature. And nature is us. And just as nature moves through its cycles, we promise to honor the cycle that we are in. The cycle of this physical form, this beautiful vehicle to which we experience life. And take up the space that you need, because you too are worthy and deserving of being here. And we affirm, I am worthy, I am deserving of honoring my true cycles, of honoring me. Now allow the love within your heart to move through every aspect of your being. Knowing that as we navigate the external world with the internal love that we feel for ourselves, that it transmits, shifting the world around us. Mimicking the love that we feel for ourselves. It starts with us. And with love and gratitude and compassion, we say thank you once more for this beautiful body, for helping us to experience life, for reminding us to honor the cycles of life. Thank you. Take a deep breath and exhale, embodying this beautiful love and compassion for this beautiful form that we hold. We open our eyes and we make a promise to honor it. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was amazing, Natasha.
Yeah.
Definitely worth every penny. That was magical.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
So yeah, thank you so much, Angie, for joining us. It was really lovely to connect with you and to go into more depth, and I feel somewhat compelled to find out even more about some of the subjects that we touched on today. It'd be so lovely to have you back if you'd like to. And we all live in roughly the same areas, so maybe we'll do one of these in person together soon as well. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring a few microphones.
Yeah.
I do have lots.
I've got one I can bring, so yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much for coming along. I will let us all go. And before I do, just to say thank you, Angie Garton. Please do check out Angie's details I put into the description of our podcast. I was digging those out earlier. And thank you, Natasha. And if you're interested in coming along and being a guest on our show, we do have quite a few guests lined up. We're always looking for more. So if you're interested, please check out the links in the description of this video or the audio version that you're listening to. And there's a little form that you can complete to capture your bio and what you'd like to chat with us about. And then I'll get in touch. So yeah, thank you so much once again. And I'll end our podcast today. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.